Items will hit the live servers or even the PTR stages of a new expansion or patch, and with it are a ton of new transmogs. Sometimes, however, those transmogs never fully make it into the game and are never formally added or are used exclusively by NPCs when they could be used by players as well. Starting us off at number 10, we have the Lightsworn Plate Recolor. This set is recognized by players as being the Paladin tier set from Icecrown Citadel. This set had 3 colors on its release, starting with a 10-man normal version, upgraded to 25-man normal, and finally 25-man heroic. It was a pretty nice looking set for its time and even holds up decently well many years after its initial release. The biggest thing to note is this set is also worn by High Lord Tirion Fordrin, the very man responsible for taking out the Lich King in the first place. Though, players will learn that the set Tirion himself wears is where this entry comes to be. It's a completely unusable version of the Paladin tier, and while it may have made sense to reserve it for Tirion during Wrath, the character isn't even alive anymore since Legion. It would have been nice if Blizzard allowed plate wearers or just paladins to wear his armor in sort of a memoriam. It also just really embodies the look of a paladin when faced with darker times, like the player character and many others had to confront during the assault on the Icecrown Citadel. With Tirion gone, it doesn't stop the influx of character art he receives from Blizzard, especially in Hearthstone where he's wearing the exact same armor from Wrath of the Lich King. Maybe in the future, Blizzard can make this coloration of the tier 10 paladin set available through similar means. An example being just making it available through running more ICC for Transmog or the Trading Post, perhaps even upscale to modern WoW. And at number 9, we have the Chainmail Bikinis. These possibly shirt or chestplate slot transmogs were data mined in patch 10.0.5 of Dragonflight. They were rumored to be a reward of some sort of purchasable from the Trading Post, but with War Within soon coming up, these items are still completely in the dark in terms of attaining them. They clearly exist as they fit both the male and female body types Blizzard have implemented, but they just have not been added for whatever reason. They're pretty silly and would definitely go with someone's transmog that makes them look like an utter doofus or whatever form they wish to have it for. And at number 8, we have Thori'dal, the Star's Fury Recolors. Thori'dal was the very first Hunter legendary, as Hunter veterans have all learned too well. It was added in the Burning Crusade expansion for its final raid, the Sunwell Plateau. It drops in the final boss raid Kil'jaeden at a random chance alongside various other items Kil'jaeden has at its disposal. The only difference with Thori'dal was that it was much rarer to acquire. Now, the bow itself wasn't actually that amazing. It had some higher item level stats compared to so many other weapons accessible for the ranged weapon slot, but typically legendary weapons have a bit more flair to make them special. In the case of Thori'dal, it would be actually to get rid of the quiver or ammo box for your character, removing the need to carry ammo for your hunter or even a rogue and warrior completely. As during TBC, you had to actually go out and purchase your ammo and replenish it frequently. However, ammo used to actually be measured in DPS alongside your bow, so having a better version of ammo actually benefited your character more if you could afford it. Thankfully, Blizzard upped the DPS of the bow itself to compensate for this loss in the form of your attack speed upon equipping it, and even gave your character a special arrow animation when you would shoot to give it some more of the legendary flair. For this entry, however, there have been 3 unused renditions of this bow's appearance in the WoW's files. It's tough to discern which one was originally planned or why there are multiple versions of the same legendary, especially considering no other legendaries has copies of itself in another color scheme. So we're only left to speculate that when this bow was being added, it was possibly going to be another generic bow that changed depending on difficulty, or it was a reward from PvP. That or Blizzard thought it'd be cool if the bow changed colors at random or something, which would have been pretty cool to see at a time, but probably not something that they could have coded together. So its appearance on the 10.2.6 PTR remains a mystery. And at number 7, we have Logosh Armor Recolors. Recently, Blizzard released a brand new armor transmog into the shop for players to purchase for real money. While arguments about the morals or reasoning behind this can be argued to death, we're here for other reasons. Essentially, you could just simply spend some of your real cash for the set and wear it on any character regardless of the armor type, class, or race you played. The theme of the set is clearly and even named about Logosh, the split personality of Varian Wrynn due to the Dragon Onyxia's actions. This version of Varian was thrown into many fighting pits and became a well-known gladiator amongst the orcs that held him captive in the first place, and presumably this armor set is what he used during such. Interestingly though, this set that was given to players is mostly red, while the one from this entry is nowhere to be found and is much more noticeably blue than the other. Perhaps it was intended to have an alliance and horde implications between the two, or was just made as a mock-up before they finalized the red version of the set before it was fully completed. It's likely just on the back burner of the Trading Post, and we'll see it pretty soon in the future, but for now, who knows why Blizzard decided to keep it away or not even include with the original set bundle in the shop. And at number 6, we have the Warpaint shirt. During the early stages of Cataclysm's creation, there were many items that Blizzard inevitably did not add for various reasons. This shirt, while the tooltip appears as a gray item, implies it was never fully rendered or just simply wasn't meant to be added in the first place. Looking at the item, it appears as a very low resolution option of giving your character some war paint on their chest to describe a more primal type look for your character. Though, funnily enough, the tooltip including the original shirt item also said, "Not good for the ladies" in all caps. It probably just straight up didn't look good on them, or made female characters appear a bit too risque than they would have liked at the time. So it just wasn't added in altogether. If anything, it could actually work in modern WoW, Blizzard decided to go back on it someday. But with a bit more tune-ups in mind, obviously, as war paint is actually a default option for certain playable races like orcs. And at number 5, we have the Troll Guitar. This item was added roughly at the same time with Mists of Pandaria expansion, and was rumored to be a counterpart to the Arcanite Ripper, another axe that is shaped very much like a guitar. It even had the unique effect of allowing you to start shredding some sweet metal music from it if you right-clicked it. Sadly, the Arcanite Ripper was only obtainable for a very short amount of time through the Wrath of the Lich King pre-patch event. You would just need to zone into the 10-man raid of Karazhan and locate the Prince Tenris Merkblood NPC. This NPC was super simple to kill and would always drop at least one Arcanite Ripper in the process. Since Karazhan was a weekly lockout, however, getting the axe was a bit more complicated because you'd only have one attempt a week per character. The event was also only a few weeks long, so you just had to get as lucky as possible. And while it is available through the unclaimed black market container from the black market auction house, you'd probably have better luck winning the lottery. It was thought that this troll guitar would be obtained in a similar manner, but was just strangely never actually made available. It had a tooltip, stats, and even some on-use effects as the previous Arcanite Ripper, but was never fully shipped to players on live. You also could right-click it to read it, however, and doing so would trigger a small note to appear in your face like that of a quest. It reads, "Hello Morgan, business in Goldshire is brisk. So brisk that I haven't had time to send you any shipments. I commissioned the person bearing this note to bring you a package of large wax candles. You know, the ones the kobolds like to wear in their heads. Please give this person our thanks and fair payment." Who Morgan is a total shot in the dark, and no one really knows why this item was actually made in the first place. It has only appeared a single time in all of WoW's history through the Ash Chicken NPC near the Mistfall village in the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. He's literally just standing there playing the guitar and is seemingly just a complete meme. Perhaps Blizzard meant it literally with the term troll guitar by not allowing them to use it, and instead letting some goofy chicken wield it and play it in front of you. Who knows, really? And at number 4, we have the Tier 2 Set Recolors. In patch 10.2.6's short lifecycle in the PTR, players quickly found a bunch of recolored versions of the incredibly old Tier 2 sets from Vanilla WoW. These sets were originally obtained through running the Blackwing Lair raid and collecting the gear as you would with any other raid in the game. One set was made for every existing class at the time, as there was only one difficulty setting you could play on, and it was only 40-man raids. So over 18 years, it's strange to see these sets suddenly get a semi-remodel so unexpectedly. Some of these sets did already have recolors, like the Judgment set for Paladins in the form of the TBC Dungeon Gear or Undead Slain. But this doesn't stop the surprise. Unfortunately, because they did not exist yet, Death Knights, Monks, Demon Hunters, and Evokers are not included in these tier sets at all. There is no indication of a hidden set that resembles their class's likeness or aesthetics, so all we have here are the few shown. There are also a few more recolors in other classes though, like the Warrior having 2 new versions of the original tier set, while Warlocks only get 1 in addition. Perhaps there'll be a trading post reward in the future, but what does a DK or Monk player do in that scenario? I suppose we'll find out soon enough if Blizzard doesn't forget about them in the near future. And at number 3, we have Heritage Weapons. In Battle for Azeroth, Blizzard began a long-standing tradition that would slowly encompass every playable race in WoW. Essentially what it did was when you played a certain character's race to a particular level threshold, you'd receive a quest unique to that character's race. Upon completing these quests, you'd be rewarded with a very special armor that works across all armor types, but the only restriction is that you had to be the race you earned the armor set on. So, an orc cannot wear a human's heritage armor. The quests were usually pretty short and just went over a brief summary of your character's race and heritage, while also establishing some brand new lore on top of it sometimes. While it's fun to get these armor sets and use them, Blizzard has very frequently made weapons that actually perfectly match the armor set you literally just obtained. The worst part is there are so few of these weapons that are actually obtainable, and sometimes have to be added as separate quests altogether to obtain, such as the Dark Iron weapons. These very Dark Iron weapons were actually data mined for quite a while and remained unobtainable for many years for basically no real reason. They were right there, but Dark Iron characters couldn't use them to really match the sets they were just given. This has repeated many times with the other heritage armors, unfortunately, and you can only see them being used by their neighboring NPCs. It's super annoying to Blizzard to do this when a player can be a huge fan of a set, but have little to no options of weapons to match the aesthetics they were given. Most notably, it has occurred in the Blood Elf Heritage set, as they both already exist but just can't be used no matter what you may try to do. Hopefully Blizzard hasn't completely forgotten them, and we'll get them implemented soon for each race so you can actually look like a trueborn Tirion or something of that nature. Editor's note, there were some Nightborn weapons previously unobtainable that were made obtainable through time-warped badges during Legion time walking. There was previously unobtainable heritage weapons for Void Elves, but they were made available through a storyline quest in patch 10.2.7. And at number 2, we have heritage armor recolors. As iconic as it may seem, not only were there missing heritage weapons based on your race, but there were also additional sets of armor you just got that you cannot receive. These were usually in various different colors and themes. The most infamous ones were the Nightborn and Lightforged Draenei, already really popular allied races when Blizzard began to introduce them. It was data mined that they had completely different sets from the ones that would be rewarded to you, and it's entirely impossible to obtain the other variants. A bit more insulting is that as Blizzard continued to make more heritage armors for the races still missing theirs, they would continue to make different colorations of the sets, but actually give them to the races altogether rather than just keeping them removed. While it's definitely a plus to have more options and access to what you individually might like, it doesn't really justify Blizzard not adding the missing heritage armors for players. Imagine playing a Lightforged Draenei who only has one set added to the game, and another data mined. And when Maghort Orcs are added, not only do they get 3 different hues of their set, they get them all at once for the exact same quest. There's no extra grinding effort to receive those sets, and it just seems like an odd display of favoritism from Blizzard. With any luck, they'll reconsider the sets that are missing from the live game, and will allow the heritage armors to have a bit more variety in the long run. Maybe they can also just attempt to lean more into the specific culture of the playable race. When it comes to the dwarves, their set is clearly Bronzebeard inspired, but holds almost no significance to the Wildhammer clan, a very popular clan of playable dwarves, especially since you can actually make your dwarf look like a Wildhammer anyways. It's just kind of odd seeing a Wildhammer dwarf wearing Bronzebeard armor. And completing our list at number 1, we have the Challenge Mode Mop Set Recolors. In Mists of Pandaria, Blizzard would begin the introduction of their soon-to-be well-loved Mythic Plus system. Essentially what would happen is you would enter a dungeon in the current expansion and be given a timer once you began. Depending on how fast you complete the dungeon, you would receive a bronze, silver, or gold medal in correspondence. However, as Mythic Plus was not yet a thing, Blizzard needed to incentivize players to compete in it for more than just bragging rights to those of the top percentage of players. To do this, they gave every single playable class for the time a special set that shared the aesthetic and theme of their classes to great effect. To obtain these sets, you would need to complete the provided challenge mode dungeons at a minimum of the gold level, meaning you had to beat the timer as quickly as possible before it ticked down to the silver rating. If you missed the gold, you would need to try again and formalize a new strategy. Funny enough though, these challenge modes were not really as hard as it was made to seem. There were tons and tons of instances of people buying carries for gold, and almost everyone and their mother was able to get these sets if they just paid someone gold for it. The prestige of this set was gone pretty much entirely, and the only prestige there is now if you actually played Mists of Pandaria when it was current, as these original sets were all removed from the game. Though interestingly, there are many instances of these same challenge mode sets existing in the game in various different recolors. Why they exist is a total mystery to players, but they have existed as long as the original versions themselves in the process. They've just literally been left in the WoW's files to rot over time, and nothing has been done with them ever since Mists of Pandaria's ending. Even with the re-emergence of challenge modes in Worlds of Draenor, you could not earn a different coloration of these sets, and instead you were given a bunch of randomly themed weapons of great interest. While Mythic Plus was released in Legion and inevitably retired challenge modes as a whole, the rewards for such have been greatly lowered. Outside of actual gear itself, the cosmetic attire you give for Mythic Plus dungeons is just a singular mountain title nowadays, based on the current season's theme. Hopefully in the future, Blizzard can remove the FOMO of these sets as they look fantastic even many years after their release, and would be a great precursor to allow the original players of MoP to keep their sets, but allow the newer, perhaps less fortunate players to get their fill. Alright, and that's the list. Are there any other unreleased transmogs you know about that we may have missed, or have any ideas for future videos just like this one? Please let us know in the comments.